Briefly, I just want to go over the meeting agenda of how I would like to have our meetings work going forward. We did a few things a little different last month, and it worked out really well, I think. I didn't hear any complaints, so I'm going to go forward with this. That way we can get out of here on time, because we all have things to do, like go to the Afterglow or pack for a trip. So, first thing, welcome. Thank you all for coming again this month to our meeting. Do we have any visitors for the first time here at today's meeting? Okay, then I won't ask you to stand up, and we won't applause, but next month, if someone here wants to bring somebody with you, or if everyone wants to do that, that would be awesome. Next, we're gonna talk about news. What's going on with the group, what's going on with Apple, relevant topics. We'll get into the presentation. Then we'll hit our Q&A session. And then finally, we'll wrap up with the raffle. That way we can be out the door on plenty of time and not keeping anybody else waiting. So, with no further ado, Apple News. There's a lot that went on this week, if you haven't heard. And we could make this into an entire meeting all by itself. But instead of that, I have a video. And this is going to condense everything down to make it pretty straightforward. I believe this is an official Apple video as well. So, enjoy. Okay, so apparently they didn't want to kick the volume up on the voices on that. I encourage you to find this. On YouTube, it is Apple Keynote event at 108 seconds, where they were able to jam everything down into that timeline. The guy doing the repair, if you can hear what he's saying, it is absolutely hilarious. So if you get a chance to listen to it later tonight or this week, look it up, it's worth it. Okay, so, Keynote. This was the very first piece of software that was put together for the iWorks package. If you remember back in 2003 when it came out, it was this and Pages. Those were your two programs that were part of the iWorks software package. And it was obvious that Apple was going after a certain company for their suite of packages to be used in the office, and they were serious about it, and they really did a heck of a job to make programs that confuse a lot of people really, really easy to use, and simplify a lot of the headaches. The fact that they had tons of templates built in, I joked at the time that this is what's putting typesetting and printing companies out of business, because you can make it look really good without having to have years of experience on how to set type, how to get everything looking just right. So it was one of those, this has a lot going for it. So originally, Keynote was referred to as Steve's app. They developed this software just for Steve Jobs to use while he was doing his presentations. At the time, he was using a program called Concurrence, which was a presentation software that was put together with Next. So obviously, when Apple bought Next, some of the guys came over, and obviously Steve's right-hand man for putting presentations came with it and developed the software and put that together. The rumors say that Steve didn't like the clunky interface and the ugly look of some of the other presentation programs, including PowerPoint, and this is why he actually went the extra mile to make sure that when he did a keynote, it would wow everyone. And looking at all the keynote presentations he's done over the years, yep, he definitely did that. Tons of effects built into it. So it worked out, I think, for the best for everybody, especially us, because we get to use his software. So let's do this. And as it says, famous last words. Because every time you hear somebody say that in a movie, good things don't always happen. So what my goal today was I'm going to stop this keynote presentation and we're going to build a keynote presentation from scratch. And I'm going to ask for help from everyone in the audience to help participate with this, so we can put together a presentation, and so everyone that hasn't used it can see how easy it is. Everyone that has used it can offer advice on how to do different things with it as well. So let me... New, sorry. Okay, so when you open Keynote for the first time, it presents you with a number of templates, just like the Pages software does, to allow you to customize the template to what you are trying to do. I prefer to use one of 3 templates that are in Keynote. I like the first one in black, the second one in white. I really like the gradient one a lot, but it doesn't always play well on the screen. So if you are just giving someone a presentation for them to view on their device, any of these will work just fine. I have found that some of them don't work great when they're blown up on a big projector like this. I also like the modern type one just because it's nice and clean. The slate one is pretty sharp, and it's probably just because there's a parrot on it, but some of the other pages that are in it are not as great as they could be. My daughter used the photo essay template and put together one for school, and completely blew away her professor with the presentation, with how it worked and how everything looked. Super nice and clean. As you see, there's a ton of different ones. Some of the nice ones, especially if the presentation you're putting together is photo-based. The leather book is nice. Formal is really good. Vintage is really nice. If it's, I would say it's more sort of set up for like a genealogy kind of photo album to do that. So you can choose whatever you want. I am going to make life really simple today, and I'm going to go with my presentation in the black. The reason being, it plays well on the big screen, I think, because with the white type, it's easier on the eyes rather than black type on a white background. So you have to know your audience that you're presenting this to and go from there. So we'll do that. The nice thing is they set everything up to make it very, very simple for you to set or to put together your presentation. So here is where I always say, hey, there's your title. This is what we're looking to do. So and then so there's your first page. That's a good start. A lot of people can't get past that, but you can.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt. I am interrupting. On the initial screen when you were picking templates,
Yes.
at the very top there was another option wide? What is?
Okay, hang on. So wide will give you a bigger screen. So if you are going for like a television screen effect, you can go to wide. Same templates, but it's just stretched to fill the screen if you think that the presentation is going to be played on a widescreen television. You can definitely stretch it out to do that. Yes?
Very important to make that distinction at the beginning.
Yes.
If you get to the end and you say, I want to do it the other way, the slides don't look just as nice as you made them.
No, things don't import the way you would expect them to. So you have to, again, at the beginning, where is this going to be viewed most? Now, if you take the standard view and you put it up on a big widescreen television, you will get black bars on the side, which is a great way to deal with what you've got on the side, because then people know it's not a widescreen format that you're going for. Richard?
A lot of times in today's world, when you're doing a projector, the new projectors will be projecting in widescreen format.
Okay.
And so if you, when I give an older projector, it's going to be doing the
Your standard?
older 4x3.
Sure. Yeah.
CRT TVs used to be.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. I missed that, but thank you for bringing it up, because that wasn't a problem. That was a great question. So that's where that is. So I'm going to click it back to that and hit cancel. And we're going to go here. So that looks fairly big, doesn't it? Okay. If you need to make it larger, it's real simple to do. So I've got that. So for your headers, it's typically set at a fairly large size. And when you blow it up onto a projector, it gets a lot bigger. But sometimes you want to kick it up just for a little extra emphasis. So that's 80 point. So that's, in a typesetting world, that's really big type. But if you really want to try and impress somebody with what you're doing, you can take it up as big as you want until it breaks, like that. So 102 is too big for what I've got. 101 is there. I'm going to kick it down to 96. There we go. So that makes it a whole lot larger, and it fills the screen than where you were at with just at 80 point. Because you don't want what you're doing to get lost, especially on title pages. Title pages you can definitely go as large as you really want to do. I can also change the background color on each slide if I want. And they give you different ways to do it. You can do the slider. You can just pick the color straight. You can go through this prism effect. Or if you want to use the different drawings or pencils, you can do that as well. So if you kick it to that, obviously whatever you're using, you want to try and use a color that's easy on the eyes rather than something harsh. And that's just, I would say, more of a design standpoint. But the problem is when you change the background color, it can affect how your type looks. So I'm going to stick with this because I just want it to be nice and clean. But you can always change it at any time. You can also do the same thing with the type. So right now it's set on white, but I can make it yellow, and that makes that stand out as well. So again, another real simple tool to make it stand aside. Mike?
Dave, can you add another line?
To this? Yeah. Yeah. So if I wanted to, the problem is when you go to add another line, it wants to shrink your type down. The nice thing is, though, I can make that text box larger, and then it'll kick this all back up again.
There's a way to keep it from doing that. I can't remember what it is because I'm not working on it.
Okay.
There's a way to keep that text from automatically resizing itself.
Is there?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but yeah, so you've got these options to set it up this way. I always find the second page to be the hard page. And that's just me, because, okay, I know what I'm doing. I've got it titled. Yeah, that looks good. That'll do the job. Sometimes I don't want to go too fancy. I want to keep it clean. When you get to your next slide, you have all these options to choose from. And you can either start with a blank one and then add text boxes, add chart boxes, add images, whatever. But a lot of this stuff, it's built in, and it's pretty straightforward. What I like, the photo vertical or the title bullets photo, really is, it gives it a nice clean look all the way around. If you're not trying to say a lot, then photo vertical is a great one. Because here, you can go in, double click, edit what you want. You can drag a photo right on top of this photo and it replaces it. You can also drag a video clip right on top of it, and it makes it very, very simple without a lot of work to get that built up. So if I can go into here, and this goes right into the Photos program and allows me to grab one of the pictures that I've got there. So that's my dog Macintosh. So I'm just going to put him here. And do that. So if you're not looking to put a lot of text in on this page, this one here is pretty much hoping that you're just going to drop some headlines in there. And again, you can go in and change things around. If you want the photo on the other side, what I have found is, so I clicked on the top box, held down Shift, clicked on the bottom box. That highlights both of them. And then I can drag both over to the same time. The nice thing is, Apple's so good, they give you guidelines, so you can drop it in and know that you're there. But I need to do this because I want to do this. So there's my crosshairs. And it's that easy to swap something around. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. You can go in and edit your master slides if you want to do that as well. I'll be honest, I'm not that good at it yet. And I've only been doing this for a few years, but yeah.
Pay attention.
All right. So then the next one with the titles, bullets, and photo, throw that in. There's your heading. The nice thing is with the bullets, you can type in a sentence or two and you're good. As soon as you hit Shift, it gives you another bullet right off the bat. Return, sorry, correct, return. So, well, close. So now I can continue to do that. If I've got a paragraph, but I don't want to have another bullet show up, I delete the one, I hold down Shift, and then click return. And then I can just bump that up, as you see, and make that higher. Then if I hit return, I'll get my bullet down at the bottom. This would be great if you are putting something together that was a question answer part of your presentation, because that way you've got your first question, you leave an open space without getting into the next question right away. And again, you can drop things on top of the photo to add that in. And build from there. I really like the fact that on all of these, you can easily just drag a video clip on top of that. There's no fuss, no muss. It's just, it's there. It works. And you just hit the space bar during your presentation and it starts the video. There is no hopping back and forth. It truly makes things easy. So there we go. Now, let's say you're getting into the meat of your conversation for your presentation. Titles and bullets are a great way to go. You put your title up there, you fill this up with all your text and build it so you can hit all the points that you need to get across to your audience. Now, one of the things that I have learned when you get to this point, I was listening to a podcast and somebody was talking about when they put their presentations together, that they have found that you want to keep these bullet points, you want to keep them brief. You want to keep it simple because you will lose the audience attention if you don't. And the one tip that this guy did was, he says, I try and estimate the age of my audience. And that's the font size that I'm shooting for. He says, I will, if I know that I'm dealing with a group of people from age 40 to age 80, I set my type at 60 point. Go for the mean and go from there. Because that's at 32 point. That's 60. Isn't that a whole lot easier to read all the way around? So again, is it a good size? No. But is it, if, again, you want to know your audience that you're working with?
It's
Yes.
also the size of the room.
Yes. And that,
So what I always do when I do presentations in Florida, I go to the back of the room and put my guy.
sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with previewing what you're doing, because looking on a 15-inch screen, oh yeah, I filled up the screen. Looking over there, oh, okay, well maybe that's just a little too much.
Also, to keep your audience attentive, use progressive disclosure.
I'm sorry?
Progressive disclosure.
Explain.
Okay.
Bullet point, then another coming in.
Okay.
So you don't,
Use the same slide, but add, so when you click to proceed,
Okay.
bullet.
Okay.
so they're not looking at all your bullet points at one time. You're introducing.
One at a time. Sure. And
Leaving the previous one, because they're still writing notes.
right. And that's what I did on the presentation before, when I was talking about meeting agenda. It was, okay, let me hit all the bullet points coming down on that. There are ways to do this where you are
Progressive disclosure.
progressive disclosure. Okay. There are ways to do that where you are not just recreating the slide and adding a line every time. Some of the build features will have those lines come in as you advance, and you can set a time up to do that as well. That is something that I'm still working on, trying to get that better. And I think everyone else probably is in the same boat. So at first, what I was doing when I first started doing the presentations here, I would get the bullet point, and then I would try to throw in a sentence or two right below the bullet point to bring that up. And I realized that was just a whole lot to read on every slide. And I would avoid doing that by doing this. In View, you can have it show presenter notes. And presenter notes are right below here. And this works great if you are doing a presentation where you are not playing the well, it worked great before we got our new video system here in the building, because this system only mirrors. So when I play the keynote presentation, I can't see my presenter notes. But when we used our projector before, I was able to have what I was showing go to the projector, come up on our screen, but then I was also able to, what you're seeing right now is what I saw on my computer. So,
Have you thought of using your iPad as the presenter's screen?
I was just about to get to that. Yes. Yeah. So that was what Jim was suggesting, was because of the new system here, if I have an iPad handy and I've got iCloud Drive turned on and my keynote presentation is up in iCloud, I can pull it up on the iPad. I can see my presenter notes from there. And then all I have to do on my computer is just hit the up or the down arrow key when I'm playing it. And that makes it work from there. Presenter notes were something that I didn't know about for the first couple of months when I started doing this. And then Terry told me about it. I'm like, oh. And he's like, yeah, no, just presenter notes. Make your life a lot easier. And
There is an app, so
he's
you don't
true.
have to use it.
Yeah, well, I use iCloud, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So,
Just to drop down,
I'm sorry,
play.
hit play.
And the menu bar, just hit play just for a second.
Okay. So,
Customize presenter display. Presenter notes, you should be able to select what the audience will be able to see and what you will be able to see, even though it's.
so this system up here, so from what I have found, it won't, if you go into display settings and say, I want to use two different settings, this display setting only shows what's on the screen.
You can't select it in your software.
I wasn't able to do that before.
In PowerPoint, you can't.
Right.
It's not a function
But-
of the software, it's a function of how that works.
Yeah, the hardware that's here.
As a display.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, because what it's doing is it's mimicking what I have on my screen here to there.
Gonna show one or the other.
Yeah, it doesn't work like if you had a monitor plugged up and you could run the presentation on a monitor.
Okay.
But it leaves, this system here doesn't have that capability for Mac yet. They have it for Windows, but they haven't put it together for Mac. And that's the only drawback I have found.
If you had the right setup, you could do like you can do in PowerPoint, where you would see this on your screen, but yet the audience would just see
So if we set up the Epson that we have for this projector, if we set up the Epson projector, I could do this all day long and have just the one image up there that I want, what I'm playing, but I'd be able to see the other image on the computer. But this new system that they have here, the people that designed it did not build that in for their Mac software, because I have to run their software for this dongle to talk wirelessly up to the projector. If I'm hardwired in, it works just like normal. So that's just the one unfortunate side effect of the new system. Screen's great, projector's great. The only drawback is they haven't made the Mac software to give us the capability of what we were doing. And I honestly would rather use this, because this is a lot easier on the eyes than the older system. So.
Where did you say the presenter notes?
Under View.
In View?
Yep. So if you go to View, and you can come on down, yeah. So I can hide them, and that just takes me back to the slide that I'm working on. Or I normally have them showing, so that way, as I'm working through the presentation, I've got a place to put in notes. You know,
those notes that you're typing, like for this slide,
yes.
and they appear coordinated for the slide that's showing like Keynote.
Correct.
But when you go to presentation of the show,
Right.
you see it on your computer, but the audience doesn't.
Correct. Yep, that's how it's supposed to work when you, on most systems. Unfortunately, the system that the Temple installed, while it's really nice, it does have a glaring flaw. And right now that flaw, until they update the software, is I can't see my notes when I hit play. But that's just on this system. If you are hooked up to a television someplace, another projector that you're hardwired in, you will be able to see what's there now, instead of.
You think that's a fault with this particular projector?
This company's software has not been updated for the Mac yet to take advantage of what we were used to doing. But it's coming.
What would be the equivalent of presenter view keynote? In other words, if you weren't working with the Temple system,
Right?
in PowerPoint,
So.
it says presenter's view.
Okay.
Meaning what would it be?
So in presenter's view, it's what you had me go to. And that's the nice thing about that is presenter's view shows me the slide I am currently on and the next one. So that way I can see what I've got coming up. The idea is so it'll walk you in to your next slide and not do we went so far down the rabbit hole on slide A. What was I going to talk about in slide B? Oh, I've got this here. So yeah, that is a fantastic view to do it. However, I don't think it shows you your notes, does it?
Yeah,
Did it?
It should. I think there was a box to select.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you customize this display, if you click
Presenter notes. And there they are. Perfect.
now you can see the presenter notes.
Right.
You should also be able to see your next slide.
Right.
And in PowerPoint, they actually have the entire presentation as it progresses. So you can see, I've got 30 to go, what they are.
Right. Yeah. The one thing I do like in this is the timer feature to let you know how long you've been going on, as well as giving you current time over on this side. So that's a nice feature all the way around.
And it's nice so when you can click in and show when you realize
Right.
40 minutes, another 45 minutes, you say, you've been a great audience. Just get the end of the show.
Yeah, I refer to that as the terrors. I've been how long with this? Yeah. So just to show you, I'm going to click play. That's what I'm looking at. I don't get my notes. So that's just it's a software limitation of this new system. But we'll get there. The workaround, like Jim suggested, was use another device, an iPad, heck, an iPhone, if you really had to go from there. So, so that's where that is. The next step, yes.
I believe, because I've used this before, that when you are using a Keynote on your iPad in conjunction with what's on your computer, you can actually control your computer from your iPad.
That is my understanding as well. And that.
You mean use the iPad as a remote?
You are actually, because they say to one another, they talk to one another, while you're doing the presentation on your computer, looking at your same Keynote presentation from the iPad, you can control your computer.
So you can do that same thing with your phone too, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Which is a handier device.
Well, it depends.
Well, it depends on what you need to look at.
Yes, depends on what you need to look at.
You know, if you've got presenter notes, I would think a bigger screen would come in handy. It would for me.
Well, yes, from both of them.
You know, but if you were just looking at the slides, yeah.
Well, doing that, would you have to have, in order to do that, would you have to have an internet connection, or could you do that by Bluetooth?
I believe you would need an internet connection to do that. So going back to your comment about the phone, if you can tether with your phone, if you're in a building where there's no Wi-Fi, but you get a cell signal, if you have tethering on your phone, you could tether the phone to the computer to make that connection.
Tethering with your phone, is that like an additional thing provider?
Yes,
Additional.
possibly. A lot of providers are now starting to add it in for free. But yeah, if they can get money out of you, well, I think that's where they're going to go first. So, so I have this Keynote up on my iPad mini at the moment. And I kicked back a slide and it didn't do anything.
Do you have the iPad set up for presenter?
No, not yet. I'm just trying to see if I can get it to. Oh, okay. So I just typed a sentence, as you can see, on the iPad, and it shows up here. So
Smaller.
yeah, that's true.
The one thing you do not want to do, though, is save your presentation while you're working on it. While you're presenting, because what it will do is close one of the presentations.
Oh, okay. So if I quit out of Keynote right now, nothing should change here.
Correct.
Let's test that out.
Save the one on your
Here.
Save the one on your computer, and it possibly will close the one on your iPad.
What do you got, two presentations going, one on each device?
Same presentation.
It's the same file.
Same thing they're talking.
This presentation was deleted in another location.
Yep.
Okay. So if it deletes it off the iPad, I'm not really worried. I just don't, well, I don't want it to delete off of this.
Put it as a note of things you don't want to do.
Okay then. So you mean what can go wrong will?
Yes.
All right then.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I've got nothing in there. All right. Huh. All right. Well, that's good to know how not to screw up your presentation, because that's happened before. All right. So in this one here, I've got my heading or title and my bullet points that I'm making. Your next step would be is if you have more bullet points to add to it, you can just come down to straight bullets, and that gives you a blank screen and allows you to
I think the way it puts you in the center does the height adjustment within the
Right.
text box.
Yep.
PowerPoint doesn't.
Exactly. Because back then you're spacing everything out. And does that look quite right, or am I a little off? Yeah. So,
Yeah, in PowerPoint, it'll define your text box where your bullets are going in, and it starts you right at the top of the box. This puts you in the center of the box. So if you're going to have 4 bullet points, they're automatically spaced in the center, automatically spaced. It's doing it for you.
Mhm.
You have to do the height adjustment yourself.
Right.
In PowerPoint once you're done.
which is, I mean, it's nice that it takes a lot of the work out for you and that. And being somebody from the typesetting and printing business, my joke on how does it look? Does it look like it was a bowling alley flyer, or does it look like it came from a professional? And that's always, that's how I guide things for how good it looks and that. Because typically cheap looks cheap, but you give it a nice little bit of a polished edge, and even if you don't know what you're doing, you sort of can't help yourself but to make it look nice. Another thing is if I go here to the full page photo, I can go in, I can get another big picture, drop it in there, boom, life is good. If it was a video, I can pull that and drop that in there as well. If you've got a bunch of pictures you want to throw in, they've got a 3-up layout where you can just go in and kick stuff in that and make it look good.
If you want to put a fourth in a predefined window of 3, can you just make one of the picture boxes smaller and bring in a fourth picture?
Yes, I was about to show us how that worked. So thank you for bringing that up. No, we're good. So I've got pictures, but we can't see the top of someone's head. How do we get that to work? So if you double click on it once, I can adjust it and hit done. I can also use the slider bar to play with it as well, but since I was trying to get her head not cut off, that's that. Now to your question, Command D, I've duplicated that photo. So you see how that does that? I grab the middle box, but it shrinks it all down. So how did I duplicate this again? I'm trying to grab a corner and make it smaller.
And the frame, if you want to grab it, what are you trying to make smaller?
I'm trying to make this box the same size as the,
Double click on it and get inside of it.
I want open hole boxes. Okay.
If you double click on the picture, it allows you to crop the frame or crop the.
Right. So this is a very rough way of doing it, but I've got that there. Now if I wanted another picture, image, there we go. Okay, now you've seen both my dogs. So that's how you can do that if you want to do this, and go from a 3 to a 4.
If you wanted to duplicate the frame.
Yep.
And then pop an image from your file into that.
Correct? Yep, that's one way of doing it. So I did it the hard way by taking the big photo and then duplicating it. But that would have been good if I just wanted to have 2 photos on the page rather than the 3 and then trying to go to 4. Because really, if I'm going to do 4, might as well just take the two that I've got and duplicate those, delete the larger photo, and then just drag them over and then replace the pictures there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that you empty the frame, so it's,
To a point, yeah. Yeah.
then you pop a new one into that.
Yep. Yeah. And then build it up that way. And that. I have seen people take this and they've turned these pictures into the Brady Bunch box where you get the 9 photos in there. This gives you the ability to tweak it any way you want and save it and just work from there with it.
Or could you possibly make a table, 3 by 3, and each cell becomes a frame?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this will even, you can even create charts if you wanted to put different charts in there. So,
Wouldn't it not be easier to do it that way as a table? You construct your table as you wish, and then put your picture in the cell of that table?
probably.
Yes and no, because with the smart guides that appear, if you took your frame and had a frame of the same size, as you duplicate it and move it over, the smart guides would allow you to align it perfectly. So you would just be dropping it in where the smart guides indicate. So I think that's easier, faster.
Yeah. So
But it depends on
take
what you want to do.
a look up here. I've highlighted these 2 pictures. The smart guides truly are
Amazing.
truly amazing. So if I take this tells me, hey, I'm not there. Oh, well now I'm horizontal, but I need my vertical.
That's what you call the smart guide?
Yeah, those yellow lines, do you see those? Okay, so I've got the 2 pictures on the right side of the frame dead on. These, now they're dead on for that side of the page. I have seen people take this effect and even drop a 5th picture right in the middle, because that was the look they were going for. But if you are interested in trying to get a 4 up, there's your 4 up. You want to do a 6 up, you want to do a 9 up, you can do that.
Is there one of those menu things at the top, a menu selection that would help you to maybe under arrange for how many?
There's an align objects that you can choose, but we're already there.
Yeah.
We've got them aligned. But yeah, you could probably use that to tweak it.
Actually, it looks like the left pictures are higher than the right.
They are.
So if you try the alignment,
Well, I think the problem with the pictures that I've got on the left side is the boxes aren't the same sizes. because I tweaked them, and I didn't do a really good job with tweaking them, but the boxes on the left side are not the same size boxes as what's on the right side. So I would need to make them identical boxes, size-wise, to do that.
It looks like if you just drag the dog down,
Drag.
the whole thing.
Okay, so if I take this one,
Yeah.
well,
No,
one click. Sorry. Is it one or two? No, one.
one. You can also select it to at the bottom, select alignment.
I'm sorry?
So that you can select it to the bottom, select alignment, line the bottom. And
There's too much talking at the same time. Let me listen to you.
you can select the two items at the bottom,
Right?
then go to alignment. And you should be able to tell it to align the bottom.
Align bottom.
All right, so now that they're aligned, now deselect them both. Select the picture on the that one, and start. No.
Just
don't click.
a one click?
One click. Take the top middle, drag it down.
And there we
Oh,
go.
I'm sorry, because it's resizing the whole thing. Take a corner.
Okay.
Undo and take a corner.
It works.
Yeah, take a corner.
Okay.
Drag the corner in. And down.
Down.
Too far down. Right, keep going up. What it will do, the smart guys will try to catch the image on the right, as in size.
It will?
Up, drag it up
Okay.
to the left. See, there.
Oh, like that. Okay. So now that box should be the same as this box,
Yeah, you see how it gave you the
Okay.
size?
right?
Smart guys to show you that it had copied the size. There you go. Perfect.
That was much simpler than I thought it was going to be. So this one, yeah, the bottom picture is smaller.
Align left.
Arrange, align, left.
Now take the top box.
Yes.
Click once.
Yes.
Deselect all first. Take the top box, click on it once, and not the middle, but one of the corners. And actually start, go back, undo.
I'm
Start
back.
from the interior right corner and drag up and to the left.
Right,
There you
like
go.
that.
Yep.
Okay, and there we go. We've got even all the way around finally.
Yes.
Is that a line all over?
Yes, they are now all aligned and are all the same size.
No, they're not.
Well, it's good. Look.
It's the one on the right.
I can work with this.
There you go, Dave.
That'll work. All right.
Low on the bottom. You want to get technical.
Okay. Good enough for right now. But yeah, I would say if it bothers you, you can obviously tweak it and make it the way you'd like. One of the other features in here is quote. So you can, if you need to put a quote in your presentation, here's a nice way to do it. Type your quote in, attribute it to whoever said it, and make it a decent size. Right now, that's 34 point. Now, in this case, when I'm playing it, it looks much larger. And I suppose you could kick it up if you need to. Again, it's your audience that you're trying to play to. And then one of the things, let me kick back. if you want to animate a slide, they give you the slide before it, I found. You click on it, you click animate up in the top corner. And I'm going to go with dissolve. So if I hit play, and then I change to the next slide, instead of it being a hard boom, it's right there, this dissolves it from one slide to the next. So you can also where is it? There's one. There it is.
Where's your progressive closure?
There isn't one.
Okay, animation generally refers to between each slide or to animate an object within a slide.
Right.
So if you wanted to have a circle you wanted to flip forward or backward,
Mm-hmm.
you do that with the animation tool.
Right. Yeah.
But in terms of doing bullet 1, bullet 2, bullet 3, bullet
That's another one that can be done as well.
Can you show me where?
In a minute.
Because
Give me a
animation
second.
is a separate concept from transition.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. Although some people do confuse the two, because this isn't, I wouldn't say this is not true animation, but it's it is a special effect
Yeah.
to get you to there. I think they just named it that. So with this one, I change it, and that's the confetti one, and it gives you that confetti effect, bringing in the next slide.
But that's a transition.
Right. But they call it animate. So hang on a sec. So up in the corner, it lets you do that, and it lets you add the effect in there. Yeah, I would say it's a transition because you're going from the one slide to the next, but you're animating that transition. So that's why they came with the name.
Within the slides, for example, flying text, for example.
Right. So how many people have seen a presentation where the next slide comes in and it's on fire? You see the type comes across and it's burning up, and then boom, the type shows up. That can go away, in my opinion. Sort of like people wanting to use Old English lettering on a business card for everything. You just can't read it.
Well,
So.
Most of these transitions in animation should go away.
Yes,
It interferes with what you're trying to teach.
exactly. Yeah,
But if you're building a slide,
right?
you can already have your slide up.
Yep.
And you're building and adding a concept. And you want, as you're talking on that slide, you want the pictures to appear on that slide as a build.
Sure.
Now you're animating that slide.
Right.
It's already up.
So when you're doing something like that, in that kind of a build, that is something that if you are going to build that, you want to build that on your computer. You don't want to build it on an iOS device, because the builds are not in the iOS version of the software. However, when you play back that presentation on an iOS device, everything works. But there's something about the iOS device that can't give you that kind of build effect just yet.
I've done that in PowerPoint using my Mac.
Okay, you're on a computer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was just saying, is if you are going to add those builds, it is my understanding that the builds have to be done on a computer rather than an iPad. That was the point I was trying to make, because I was banging my head for the longest time trying to get that to work, doing it on my iPad Pro. And I had one of the creatives at the store just look at me and went, "You can't do that. It's just not physically possible yet." But you want it, he says, if you want to do the build, do it on the computer, because that way you can put the build in, and then because I'm using iCloud to sync it between the devices, all that info comes over, and then I can play it all day long. If I have to delete a build, that too was suggested that I do that on the computer as well. Okay, is that good? Okay. So you've got all these different things that you can choose from to make it different for what you want, what you would like it to look like. So that is, oh, that's not a bad effect. So let me go to play. So confetti, swirl. So that does add a little wow factor, I think, to your presentation. You know, for some people, they're going to go, oh. Other people are going to go, enough already. And that's where I am at with the flames. Also with the type dropping down and the dust coming up. I'm done with that one too. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, or yeah, exactly. So you've got all these different things that you can do to put all this together. And then another suggestion I was given, when you are done with your presentation, don't leave it on the last page. Pick the blank. And so that way, you're done. You don't have to put the end. You don't have to do anything else. It's just a blank slide. And at that point in time, most people go, oh, I guess that's it. And you don't have to worry about that.
Some people want to make the last slide say questions, question mark.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So there is so much more in this program for putting together a presentation that we don't have enough time for all of that. But there are, on the Apple website, there are tutorials on how to use this on the computer, how to use it on your iOS device, so your iPad or your phone. So if you wanted to do it that way, all that stuff is there. They've got guides that just give you tons of information on how to set everything up and build it that way. So right now, yes. Yes, it can. So what you do is you save your presentation. So I'm going to save it. And then export PowerPoint, because it used to be save as, and then they changed it a couple years back. So if I do this now, okay, PowerPoint presentation. If you want your presentation to be secure, you can click the box that says require password to open. And that way the presentation that you've put together, unless they know the password, does them no good. Which I think in some businesses might be a really good thing. There are also advanced options, so you can choose your format, whether it's an older version of PowerPoint that it's going to be played on or on a more current one. So I'm going to stick with the more current. I'm going to hit next. It's going to say, where do you want it? I'm going to just throw it on the desktop. And there I go. I've got a PowerPoint presentation called Test. Yes.
I've done some national presentations using some of the keynote. People came up afterwards, can I have a copy of the presentation? Of course, they can only take PowerPoint. So be aware that if you export, PowerPoint does not support everything Keynote does. And it'll very often change transitions and everything else. You might want to try it, get a PowerPoint, make yourself a PowerPoint export. Take a look at it before you give it to somebody.
So in cases like that, would it be better to save it as a PDF?
Except that then there's no transition.
Okay. All right. So transitions are really gone. At that point, okay.
Export this PDF before you present it, I mean, as a PowerPoint before you present it, so that whatever they see on the screen is what they'll.
Is what they see on the screen.
Because
Okay.
you export it, otherwise you may also send your presenter notes. You may not want.
Right.
Or you can export it as a QuickTime movie.
Okay.
But then, of course, you don't have the control and just basically let it run itself.
Okay.
That'll capture the presentation.
Okay. We had a question over here.
It was related to what he said.
Oh, okay.
You were gonna show the
So we got a 2 for 1. Okay, cool.
And you were gonna show the bullet points, how you can make one bullet.
So I'm going to show you my lazy way of doing it because I'm still trying to work on the right way of doing it.
Oh, we can walk.
Okay then. So let's go back to my lazy way. See meeting agenda? What I did, I put this together first. Then I just duplicated the file 5 times. And then I just deleted it. Now, the catch when you do that, all right, keep your eye on the word welcome. It moves.
Interesting.
Right. But if you do it the hard way, well, for me, the hard way,
The right way.
the right way, yeah. If you do it that way, my understanding is everything stays right in the same spot and it just dunk, 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 and goes from there. So,
Now, that could be a build slide.
yes, yes, it
One
could.
slide with, every.
I'm not arguing with you. You are correct.
No, it's not. Every bullet point is not a build. When you want to add transitions, every build is a separate object. So because
Inside of the slide,
because you have a text box that has all of these paragraphs, it's still one text box. You
okay.
have to separate the text out into separate text boxes in order to build it to animation.
Oh, okay, so that one text box,
Yes,
I would have to have 5 text boxes
correct,
in there
correct,
to build it to do that.
correct.
That's why I can't figure it out, because I keep thinking I can do it this way.
To do exactly that.
All you do is just create the first bullet point and then just copy and paste.
Okay.
Use the text box.
Yeah, copy paste the text box. So shrink the text box. Oh, you have that.
I'm listening.
There's some way to turn that off. I can't think of where it is because you
If
don't
you
want
hold
the
option.
text to resize itself. Or just delete
Give me
it
a
and
second.
start.
I'm sorry?
Or just delete it and start.
So I have this text box here.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk through this because I'm learning.
Delete it.
Delete that text box.
Take that text box and get the text tool.
Okay.
Get the text tool and click on your screen.
Yep.
Type in something.
What did I call it? Welcome.
It's not gonna give you.
And change the point size
Okay.
so as old folks can see it.
But what about my bullet point?
You should still be able to put that in there. Down from the bottom right, is there something that says bullets or something?
Yes.
Yeah, add a bullet point.
Huh.
Okay. I'll, put it to the upper left of your screen where you want bullet. All right.
Okay.
Now, just copy it and paste it.
Hang on. Let's make sure I actually copied it. So then make another text box and paste it?
No, copy paste. Just copy paste.
Okay.
Run it. And you can say you copy paste in a line.
So every one of those is a text box.
Correct. That's
Okay.
what he has to have.
And so what he's doing, what he'll have to do afterward is just delete the respective text within the box and type it.
Correct. Correct. But now, you know, correct. Changes.
I am not. No, they're not.
Well, that's because the way you did that.
Okay.
If you had just put one at a time, you would have been able to it properly. But you get the idea.
Right,
All right, so now that those text boxes are there,
right,
you can select one. And we know that if you need to change the text, you change the text.
right.
And I believe off to the upper right, you see something that says animation.
I don't see anything in the upper right.
Format, animate.
Animate.
Yeah, next to format.
I see a range.
The upper right hand.
Oh, and over on the sidebar, on the toolbar, I have a range.
Up higher. Up.
Oh, that animate.
Yeah.
Got it, sorry.
Alright, so, yeah, there you are. So now you set whatever type of animation you want.
Okay. So I'm going to choose appear.
Okay.
I'll just make it simple. Okay,
So it gives you a preview of the animation. So you select them all and you can add different animations. You can change the text at any time. So
can I do all at once?
you can. I believe we'll find out.
We'll find out. So I'm going to do appear.
Now,
Okay.
in addition, you can also select and set the duration, time.
On click.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I have to slide them all.
Put in,
So that way he doesn't have to do a click for each.
Correct.
single-
correct.
Okay. Like bullet.
And that can work the same as with a picture.
Correct.
You could you insert a picture into
Correct.
the text box?
Yes.
Instead of,
There, you don't want to, you can't insert a picture. Well, you don't want to just pull an image into it. You don't have to worry about it being a text box.
oh,
What the animation is working on is the fact that it is a separate object.
So how do I change the time?
Duration is more what it, selected one. Sorry.
So under delivery, I've got by bullet. Should I change that to
That's, yeah.
by bullet, shouldn't I?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how it is, but I don't think you had to create each of those elements. You
Okay.
should have gone just and created bullet
No. You have to-
and then gone right to as one, given your appear,
Okay.
that's what I was looking for. If you went into appear by bullet, you do one
Okay, by
individual.
bullet, okay, by bullet, but everything you put on that slide is by bullet, so. Well, by bullet, yeah, it'll work, yeah.
Okay.
If you selected a bulleted slide, one is, that's what I was looking
Okay.
for.
You're not the only one. After build one. So what I'm doing is I'm giving it a 3-second. One. Okay, so this is where I've got to play with it
Yes.
to get my times. Okay,
Typically, you would do it on mouse click.
that's what I thought. Or an arrow up and down, but no?
Yeah, that is progressive, that's defined, that's the hard thing.
Okay,
It would be progressive disclosure.
okay,
By bulleted item, by mouse click. And I'm sure those suggestions are in there under delivery.
okay. Yes,
If you go to slide 7 and click on it,
yes,
now you know your, yeah, get that on.
okay,
You know your 5 bullet points, you do a edit, copy, and then just
You should be able
open
to go
that
to animate
4
here.
times.
right,
Somebody's in there.
Yeah.
And then you go through and eliminate each one till you get 1, and then the 2, then the 3,
right.
and you're done in like 10 seconds.
Well, and that's what I did originally for the presentation. I did that originally.
That's how
Okay, but the other way, if you can get it where it pops in and then let me say something, 3 seconds later, let me say something to this point, and that,
that limits your time.
okay. Which is not always a bad thing. but sometimes expanding on it works as well. Okay. All right, so that's where I am at with this. I wanted this to be sort of a work in progress with everybody for this presentation, because I know I don't know everything, and I know there's plenty of other people that know things that I don't know about this, and hopefully we can all share that and learn more.
Go back to that last slide and play it. See how, the one where you took the separate.
Those?
Yeah, play it.
Okay.
So every time you press the right arrow, it's waiting for you to press the right arrow.
So that's like a mouse click.
Okay, so a mouse click or a right arrow. Okay. So that works. But this is, the way Don was saying, is just the way I originally built it. Just let me do this and break it up that way.
Right, you have like
Okay.
5 slides.
Yeah. Yep. But that could definitely kick it into one slide and it's just a tap, tap, tap.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that works. All right. So, give me a sec here. Where did I put it?
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. All right, let me get to that slide. All right, so we're going to start the Q&A session at this point. What I would like is for everyone to step over to that microphone. If you have a question, please speak clearly into the microphone and directly into it. Let us know your name, ask your question, and as long as it's relevant to Mac Group and Apple computers, we're good to go. And then just wait for your possible answer. Because again, we don't know everything, although some of us think we do, but most of us don't. So if you do have a question, step up to the mic and let's see what we can do. And we have no questions? Okay.
I'm Bruce Mitchell. Is it on?
Yep.
Okay. So tomorrow we have a big announcement. What do I have to do to prep my device so I can download it tomorrow?
Well, the first thing I always suggest to anybody getting ready to upgrade is to back up your data today. Because if you do the upgrade tomorrow and something goes wrong and you don't have a backup, you're not going to be happy people, because that means you'll lose everything that's on your device. So first and foremost, a backup would be my best suggestion. 2, make sure your device can handle the new upgrade. There are a lot of people that will upgrade and their system will say, oh, hey, download this latest version, but you can't install it because that device can't handle it.
Do I need 5 gigabytes of free space?
Not if you do it through iTunes on your computer, no. So if you download over the air, expect everyone else in the world to download it at the same time, and your internet is probably going to have issues. I always recommend it if you are going to upgrade your software. Yeah, typically they want 4 or 5 gigs of free space on that device to install that. But if you plug the device into a computer and hit update through iTunes, you don't have to have that free space. And that happened 2 iOSs ago, where you could do that instead of, oh, let me delete all this stuff off my device. And that was for folks that, you would be surprised the number of people that their iPhone is their computer. It is their everything. It's the only device they have. And they have no way to back it up. So, with that being said, Apple made our lives easier at the stores by giving us the ability to just plug the device into one of the floater machines that can't back anything up and just hit update. So the person that had like 10 megabytes free space left, they could get their device updated to the latest version of the software. So that does that. Brian?
Always do two.
Two backups, yes. I will take anybody doing one backup over no backups. Two backups, that's for the people that have experience. And how do you get experience? By making mistakes. So if you have the ability to make two backups, that's a great way to do it. If you can back up to iCloud and back up onto the computer before you update your phone or your iPad, you will be a much happier person all the way around.
I've had a problem with iTunes installing software in that. I've got about 100 gig free on my iMac. And if I plug my iPhone in, it wants to do a backup, and then it comes back and says, you don't have enough disk space to do the backup. So my question is, how can I do the software install upgrade without it insisting it's got to do a backup first?
So Steve's question, because he didn't go up to the microphone and ask this, was can he do a backup with a computer that seems to tell him you don't have enough free space? How much space are you using on your phone?
Well, I've got the 256 gigabyte phone, and it looks like I've got about 100, maybe about 180
Okay.
gigabytes in use on the phone.
So technically you should have enough room to back up to the computer if you have 100 gigs free on the computer.
I've got 180 though on the phone,
Used or free?
in use.
Okay.
So I've got more in use on the phone than I have free on the iPhone.
Well, wouldn't that just make sense that you don't have enough room on the computer to back it up then?
Oh, yes, it does, but my question is, can I still somehow do the software upgrade? Which you just suggested.
To do the update rather
The
than,
update, can I still do this update without it insisting on doing the backup first?
I would think so.
Not on iTunes, because the backup is the first, second.
Yeah, not on iTunes,
Yeah.
you'll have to do it over the air.
So you're going to be stuck with an over-the-air update. So I'm used to the machines at work that are locked down so they don't get backed up. Is your phone set to sync every time you plug it into iTunes?
No, I don't, I'm currently not using the over-the-air backup.
Okay.
And what I've been doing, which is a law, which is not sanctioned, is doing the backup, actually clearing stuff off, copying stuff to an external drive off my iMac, deleting it to free up space, doing the backup on iTunes, then taking that file because I know where they are,
Mm-hmm.
copying them to an external drive, deleting them from my iMac, and then copying the other stuff I removed back. You know, it's not a very kosher way of, nice way of doing it.
Sure. Can I ask a question?
Of course.
How big is the hard drive on your computer?
It's about, it's an older iMac, so I've got a partition that got Snow Leopard on it, and Snow Leopard and High Sierra.
Okay.
And the partition for High Sierra is 1 terabyte.
Okay.
I've got a lot of crap.
Okay.
I'm a computer order on my disk.
Welcome. Okay. So then it sounds like the answer is you're going to do the same thing you've been doing in the past to free up space if you're going to update on the computer, or you're stuck doing the over-the-air.
Okay, that's just wanted to see
Yeah.
if it's some magic way.
Yeah. My advice is if you are going to do the over-the-air update, wait till Tuesday, because everybody and their brother is trying to run it tomorrow as soon as it hits. And honestly, if you don't need to have it on your device tomorrow, wait till Tuesday. And at that point, the demand should be a lot easier. I know Apple's ramping up their servers to handle this, but you got to figure with all the people worldwide that want to update their iOS device, the servers are going to take a pounding tomorrow. So just keep that in mind.
Hey, Dave.
Yes.
Also wait today because you never know what might creep into the download. If a lot of users are having problems with that, that's one less problem you'll have to solve. If you wait.
Sure. Yeah. Luckily, though, Apple has been able to deal with that over the last couple of years. 5 years ago, your advice was, yeah, I'd wait a week. But now it's, when they really release it, they're there. Oh, yeah. Okay, so